Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video, let's do the practical comparison between these two popular smartphones, which I feel as of now are the most practical mid-range Android smartphones. That is the Redmi Note 8 Pro that starts at about 15,000, and the Realme XT that starts at about 16,000. So let's do a comparison, and have divided it between the 10 different points. So let's look at this one. Which one might be the better smartphone for your needs? And guys, as you can see, here are the smartphones itself, and they differ quite a bit. So first, let me talk about the specs and stuff. And in terms of specs, they're very different. If we talk about the Realme XT, that's powered by the Snapdragon 712 SoC. Whereas this Redmi Note 8 Pro is powered by the new MediaTek G90T SoC, which is actually also an octa-core chipset. I'll talk about the benchmarks and stuff later on, but that's the big difference. And also, the big difference according to me is in the base variant, this Redmi goes ahead. This comes with actually 6 gigabytes of RAM, whereas the Realme XT that starts at about 16,000 comes with just 4 gigabytes of RAM. So that's a big difference, I would say. You can get the Realme XT even with the 6 gigabyte, but that is about 17,000. And now storage, both of them with the base variant is 64 gigabytes. I'm talking about the base variant, guys. So this is the big difference. And again, now let's also talk about the screen. And if you notice, side by side as they are, this Redmi Note 8 Pro is bigger. This is having actually a 6.53 inch screen, but this is an IPS LCD screen. And again, both of them have that drop down notch. But as you can see, this is significantly bigger. Whereas on the Realme XT, we are having that Super AMOLED screen, but this is slightly smaller at 6.4 inch screen. So again, that is also a difference. As you can see, clearly we have that difference. So IPS LCD screen, AMOLED screen, this is having a slightly bigger screen, this is having a slightly smaller screen. So again, because this one is having that AMOLED screen, the Realme XT, this one goes with that in-display fingerprint scanner, and as you can see, it works very well. No issues regarding that. And if I just keep it on standby also, you have that option of that always on display. It shows that clock. If you go in the settings, you have that. Because it's an AMOLED screen, we have that option. Whereas on this Redmi Note 8 Pro, this is having an IPS LCD screen, so we don't have that in-display fingerprint scanner. The fingerprint scanner is a physical one, and it's over here. And as you can see, it works very well. Again, I don't have a problem with it. It's very sensitive. The only nitpicking, I would say, it's very close to the cameras on this. And by the way, guys, both these smartphones actually also have the main camera is that 64 megapixel camera. So I'll also show you a lot of sample shots side by side to judge which one is better, because both of them have the same camera sensor. But again, it all depends on the image processing. We'll talk about that later. So again, fingerprint scanner, again, that's the difference. This one is having that physical fingerprint scanner. This one is having that in-display fingerprint scanner. Now, if we talk about the speakers, which is also a very important part, here I feel the Realme XT, though both of them having that single speaker here at the bottom, we have that fence. This one has a far more powerful and a louder speaker compared to the Redmi Note 8 Pro. I feel this is the biggest con that I have with the Redmi Note 8 Pro. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad, it's enough. But if I compare both of them side by side, this is definitely louder. And also, one thing that I've noted is that on this Redmi Note 8 Pro, this is the biggest problem that I had when I was testing this device. The ringtone volumes, even at the maximum, are simply not that loud. So many times when it was in my pocket and I was outdoors, I hardly heard that ringtone, and I had a lot of missed calls. And again, if the Redmi Note 8 Pro is in another room, you will simply not hear it. I don't know why. I hope Xiaomi fixes this with the next OT update. The ringtone volume is simply not that loud on the Redmi Note 8 Pro. And that's not the problem with this one. It has a louder speaker, and also the ringtone volumes are adequately loud. Even if it's in this next room, you'll hear this. So I feel this is an important thing in terms of practical usage. Now, if we move to the next thing, and this is regarding the performance of these devices, and here I have to say both of them actually perform very well. Again, yes, they have the custom UI and stuff, but in terms of general performance, I didn't find any lag or anything with either of these smartphones. This has the Snapdragon 712 SoC, which is known. Again, I have to charge it. But yeah, again, I had no problems with this one in day-to-day usage. But the only thing is that as the base variant is, you're getting with that 4 gigabytes of RAM. Though in my day-to-day usage, I didn't have a problem. But I would say, yes, if it would have that 6 gigabytes of RAM, it would have been better. Now moving to the Redmi Note 8 Pro again, this has the new MediaTek G90T chipset, and guys, I have to say this is a very fast chipset. I did not have any issues of lagginess or anything. And again, as this one has the advantage of extra 2 GB of RAM, also in the RAM management, I didn't have a problem with this one. So that is also something you have to actually note. Now, as we're talking about the performance, again, as I've told you, both these smartphones felt fast in day-to-day usage. I didn't have any lagginess or anything, so I decided to run Antutu, and I ran this actually 3 times, and you only guys see the results. What are the results? This is the Redmi Note 8 Pro that's having that MediaTek G90 chipset, and as you can see, if we go in the details, this is clearly way faster in terms of raw computing. As you can see, this got a score of the XT 2,17,000, and this got a score of 2,91,000. So clearly, as I was telling, in terms of performance and stuff, again, I didn't have a problem with both of them, but this seems to be definitely faster, the Note 8 Pro, because of the G90T chipset. And again, I did quite a bit of gaming also with both these smartphones. Again, I've already posted dedicated videos about that, so you can check that out. And both of these smartphones handled popular games like PUBG and even the Call of Duty without any issue. In fact, I did some extended gaming also with this one, because it has the new MediaTek G90T chipset, and it could run all the heavy games at highest settings without any issue. So in terms of gaming, again, I would say both of them are actually very good, and I was surprised with the performance of this Redmi Note 8 Pro. So in that respect, in terms of performance, I would say both of them are very good. But again, as benchmarks show, the Redmi Note 8 Pro is having the faster processor. Now, if we talk about the battery, both of them are actually having pretty good battery life. But in terms of capacity, the Redmi Note 8 Pro has slightly bigger, that's actually 4,500 milliamp hour battery, whereas the Realme XT has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. What does this translate in real world operations is that both of them were giving me over 1.5 days worth of typical usage. But yes, if I talk just about the screen on time, I was roughly getting about 50 to about 1 hour extra SOT on the Redmi Note 8 Pro. In terms of idle power drain, I was surprised that both of them actually had very little idle drain. So in terms of battery life, both are very good. But again, yes, if I have to pick one, the Note 8 Pro goes slightly ahead, not by a huge margin, but slightly ahead. Now, in terms of charging, both do support fast charging. That's actually a really good thing. But the thing is that the Note 8 Pro has that 18-watt fast charger, whereas the Realme XT has that VOOC fast charging at 20 watts. So I felt that the Realme XT charged slightly faster compared to the Redmi Note 8 Pro. But again, the Redmi Note 8 Pro also had that 500 milliamp hour battery extra. But yeah, if I have to pick one, just based on the charging time, the XT went slightly ahead. As you can see, guys, both of them are very close to each other in many of the aspects. Now let's talk about the Android version, and here again we have a similar story. This is the Redmi, so comes with MIUI, and I did try to update it, and still it's on the MIUI 10.4. That means it's still on Android 9. But we know that the MIUI 11 is out. It's being rolled out. So this will also get the MIUI 11 sometime very soon, hopefully in the first quarter of 2020. And the Realme XT also, it's the same situation. It runs on the ColorOS 6. So again, this is also running on Android 9 as of now. So again, it has that Android Pie, but this will be also getting the Android 10 sometime in the first quarter of 2020. The ColorOS 7, they're going to tweak it and stuff like that. So again, in that respect, I'm neutral. I won't take sides. Which one do you prefer? You prefer the ColorOS 7 that will be coming out on this one, or the MIUI 11? That's again a personal preference, I would say. So in that area, neutral. But now let's talk about the cameras on this one. And as you can see, all of them have multiple rear-facing cameras. The main camera is that 64 megapixel. And let me do one thing. Let me actually show you some sample shots that I've taken with both these devices, so that you can have a better understanding of the camera difference. So here are the samples side by side, and immediately I noticed that the Realme XT tries to boost the colors quite a bit, as you can see from these pictures. Hence, I would say the Redmi Note 8 Pro images felt a lot natural, and the contrast was actually good. This was the wide angle lens, and here I feel both are actually close to each other. But again, XT still boosts the color a little bit, and this is the big difference. The Redmi Note 8 Pro's pictures were actually, the colors are a lot closer to the reality. And here also I felt the Redmi Note 8 Pro is slightly more sharper, again, as you can see in these pictures. Now moving to indoor artificial lighting, here I feel the 8 Pro is doing better. Notice the wooden floor, it got the color right on the Note 8 Pro, whereas the XT, it's showing me a very different color. But as you can see, again, I feel the picture is better on the Note 8 Pro. But when we use the wide angle lens here, we see the exact opposite. The Realme XT is showing the more accurate picture. And these are some of the samples taken in artificial lighting. And here, see that the XT is trying to again boost the skin tones a little bit. I would say it's making the picture look a little bit unnatural. And again, these are samples in the bokeh mode. And this was in the wide angle lens. The wide angle lens is simply better on the XT. The Note 8 Pro is just garbage in the wide angle lens, I would say. Now moving to the front facing camera, I would say both of them are actually pretty good. The XT zooms in a little bit compared to the Note 8 Pro, but in terms of picture quality, I would say, as you can see, both of these front-facing cameras are producing some very good pictures. So that was the camera department, and some very interesting results. I always felt that the Realme XT, using that chroma boost by default, the images were sort of oversaturated. It was boosting the colors and stuff. Whereas with the Redmi Note 8, the images were very close to the natural. Again, it comes down to personal preference, I would say. But if I have to pick regarding the camera performance, just for static pictures, I would definitely say the Redmi Note 8 Pro's pictures were better. I would say even when we talk about difficult lighting conditions like the samples we took here in artificial lighting, I feel the Redmi Note 8 Pro's camera did better. Now let's also talk about how do they do with video. So here is a sample of the video that I took side by side. Guys, recording the video side by side. On the left I have the Redmi Note 8 Pro, and on the right we have the Realme XT. And what I'm doing is just walking around so that you have an idea how is the video recording on these two smartphones. Though they can record in 4K, this sample is at 1080p, and this should give you an idea how is the video recording with this one. And let's just go to a slightly shadowed area to give you an idea. So this is a very quick sample, and this should give you an idea how is the video recording between these two smartphones. So definitely in terms of video, I would say the Redmi has improved quite a bit, because if you check out my review that I posted about 2 weeks ago, the video performance was really bad on this one. But I got one more update between then and now, and I feel the video performance has improved quite a bit. But still, I would say in terms of video with the rear facing camera, it tries to do that extra contrasty thing. So in terms of video, I would say the Realme XT is slightly better, not by a huge margin, but slightly better. So to conclude, guys, as we saw, both of these smartphones are very good, but again they are actually quite a bit different. And if I have to sum it up, I would say the biggest strengths, I would say, for the Redmi Note 8 Pro are that you get that 6 gigabytes of RAM instead of 4 on the base variant of the XT. Also, you have that bigger screen. You might like it or not, but you get a bigger screen on this one. And also, as you saw in the benchmarks and stuff, this is significantly faster than the Snapdragon 712 chipset. No doubts about that. And also, I would say the cameras, as we thought, which is an important part, the rear-facing cameras for static pictures were better on the Redmi Note 8 Pro. The biggest con that I have with this Redmi Note 8 Pro was that the speaker volume is not that loud, and the ringtone volumes are also not that loud. That's the biggest con that I have with this one. And video, I would say, yes, the Realme XT did slightly better in video compared to the Redmi Note 8 Pro. Now, if we talk about the strengths of the Realme XT, the biggest thing is this one comes with that Super AMOLED screen and that in-display fingerprint scanner. So if you really want that Super AMOLED screen, this is the one for you. But again, the base variant of this one starts at 4 gigabytes of RAM. If you want to go with that 6 gigabytes of RAM, the pricing will be about 17,000. So again, as you saw, guys, both of these smartphones are actually really good. And if I would say, if we are looking at price to performance ratio, that's the biggest criteria, then yes, obviously the Redmi Note 8 Pro at 15,000 goes ahead. Anyways, guys, that is it for this comparison. And if you guys are still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.